We've heard the rather startling news just a few minutes ago that Brian Blessed's wife has been found in an underground dungeon that's completely soundproof. But the twist is she built it herself. I should have done that in the show. But I'll tell it later. Pretend you haven't heard it.
Good evening and welcome to Have I Got News For You? I'm Bill Bailey. In the news this week, in Afghanistan, the net tightens around Osama bin Laden as Britain's top disguise expert prepares to infiltrate the Al-Qaeda leadership. An Islington resident keeps his cool after rolling himself the world's biggest ever joint. And there's evidence that, with a quick squirt of Evo Stick, Hillary Clinton has finally solved the problem of her husband's wandering hands. On Eon... All I'm saying is, on Ian... Why couldn't he have a different name?
Can't we have Brian Blessed back?
Oh, have you heard the sad news about Brian Blessed's wife?
Oh! On Shaka Hislop's team... No, on Ian Hislop's team tonight is the BBC's political editor who told The Independent recently, people say I sound arsey, northern and confrontational. But that's because I am arsey, northern and confrontational. Please welcome confrontational northern arse, Nick Robinson. And with Paul Merton tonight is an American comedian who said recently, TV has found a way of showcasing comics on panel shows, but a lot of these shows have become banal, empty and stupid. Not the pop music one, that's quite good. Please welcome Reginald D. Hunter. In round one, we cover the biggest stories of the week. Ian and Nick, take a look at this.
Oh, it's the next Prime Minister and David Cameron.
Host of Have I Got News For You? Yes! We've got rid of him.
They are looking sad. They've lost to the Lib Dems. He's got to use public transport again.
Oh. And he feels your pain.
He does. He's actually eating himself.
And he's willing to appear on any sofa at any time.
Has he appeared on yours?
I don't actually have a sofa at me. Well, I do at home, but it might escape your
attention. That would be a bit weird, though, if it appeared on your... Hello.
My favourite question of the week, actually, was put to him on ITV's This Morning show. It was one of those sort of cosy chat shows, where they introduced him by saying, Prime Minister, we're glad you've come here because we want to give you an opportunity to look human.
They lost to the Lib Dems.
Well, I know, yes.
Third. The Labour Party.
They should remember one of the great Borisisms. If you look at the Boris sayings, no disasters, Boris once said. There are no disasters, there are only opportunities, and indeed, opportunities for fresh disasters.
We've got a clip of Boris's very first action as mayor. Look at this.
I now formally present the new mayor of London, Boris Johnson.
I hope you didn't catch that bit.
Great thing is he started as he means to go on.
That's right, yeah.
That's what people want, though, don't they?
Yeah, they want a trip.
Yeah.
We've been going to Glastonbury again, Ian.
Do you think Ian goes to Glastonbury?
I don't know, he might. You'd go down to the classical music tent, perhaps?
There's an abbey, isn't there?
Yes, there is. 3 rooms of banging Dvorak.
That was his nickname, wasn't it? How he managed to compose all that music as well.
Yeah, see, the mayoral campaign was a bit rough. I don't know if you remember this particular clip.
If the polls are to be believed, this is yours to lose. And if you do, it will be a huge blow to the Tory party, who are riding high in the national polls at the moment.
Boris Johnson, the reason why I got this hairstyle, my 12-year-old niece made me a bet that he would win. And I said, fuck you, you 12, you don't know what you're talking about.
So what did you rashly promise?
She said, well, if I win, I get to restyle your hair.
So she said you have to look like Minnie Mouse.
Yeah, well, that's very witty.
Yeah, I was going to say that's pop cut all that, and I thought, oh, that's a bit racist, isn't it? I don't know, is that racist?
Oh,
No,
yeah,
it's not,
what is this, the Ask a Black Guy segment? Well, Whitey,
Let's turn.
let's just check the raceometer. Yeah, tell me about your hair.
Oh, this is not hair, this is a small animal I've trained to stay with. Not now, Lionel! There's another photo opportunity this week. There we go.
He's American.
No,
Oh,
sorry, no. That's the wrong one. The other one. Come
Nice saluting.
There we go. Cameron, has he found a Boris, do you think?
I think he's ever so slightly nervous, actually. If Boris is any good, then people will say, well, look, let's have him as Prime Minister, which Boris...
It's just one of those jokes that doesn't stop.
Well, I know that when I was living in the ghettos of Deep South...
Yeah, oh, we've all done that.
When I was living in the ghettos of Deep South... Okay, well, I'm just gonna let the white folks talk.
That's a straightforward racist remark.
Was that racist?
As you know perfectly
I don't know.
well.
I don't know if that was racist. I guess I'll ask myself. But, you know, it's like I learned a lot about politics living over here because, you know, in America, you know, we just, you know, Americans care now. More Americans are going to vote in this election. I mean, hell, people in other countries want to vote in our election this time. A friend of mine asked me recently, was I going to go see the new Batman movie with him? And just, I don't respect the concept of Batman because of what I understand about politics now.
Sorry.
I'm gonna lay it out for you. Rich dude owns a corporation,
yes,
has state-of-the-art equipment, and he uses this to beat up on street-level crime. He doesn't mess with the industrialists or the super capitalists, the Murdochs or the Trumps. He rather just fuck with the purse snatchers on the corner. Batman is a conservative's wet dream. Fuck Batman.
But Boris has announced his first policy. He's banning sort of people drinking on public transport.
Yes, he said that we are going to change the rules so that you no longer have the frightening experience of sitting down late at night opposite someone who is not only drunk, but still drinking, and who may be both sloshed and threatening. Yes, I saw Brian Blessed on the show last week as well.
Did you hear about his wife, Brian Blessed's wife?
With the secret
they found
compartment?
Her, yeah, they found her in an underground cellar, completely soundproof.
Yeah. And the weird thing about it is...
Yeah, she built it herself.
She built it herself. Nick, what did you think of the BBC's coverage of the elections last week?
Absolutely brilliant.
Should we have a look at Jeremy Vine last Thursday night, explaining the implications of various results for Nick Clegg?
See here, damn, all this here is a shootout saloon. I'm trying my shooting skills on, and I fancy that might just be the love potion of the leader of the Liberal Democrats. Cleggy boy, you in town?
Cleggy boy?
You around, boy? Your levers may not fit, but at least you got them on. I'm going to teach you how to point your gun on the street, boy. Have a look at these tin cans. 2004, first one's marked. See what happens if I can shoot this? Just 1 second here.
I wish somebody else had a gun.
Enough, we can't watch it. No, it's enough.
Wow.
Now, that's extraordinary, isn't it?
That's the entire rationale for the licence fee just gone.
I mean, you know Jeremy Vine, don't you? Is he a bit of a tit?
Anticipating that you might raise this, I've been provided with a statement by the BBC. It was a joke inspired by the nickname Calamity Clegg. It was innovative, imaginative, and above all, a brave effort to communicate a complex idea in an engaging way.
Why didn't they show that bit then?
Finally, in our regular Blair Are They Now slot, what was good news for Tony and Cherie this week?
They bought a house, haven't they?
That's right, they bought another house.
Yeah.
John Gielgud's old house. There it is. Apparently John Gielgud looks like he's actually still in it. This is, of course, the news that Labour has slumped into third place in the polls. By Friday morning, dozens of Labour councils had been consigned to the dustbin, although, thanks to council policy, they won't be collected for another 2 weeks. During the election campaign, the even-handed British press was as impartial as ever. A Daily Express phone poll asked, "Have you had enough of being fleeced under Labour?" And to add insult to injury, calls 25p a minute.
What about the coverage in The Guardian? Are we not going to go for that? 3 days of solid anti-Tory propaganda? No balance at all?
Yes, we could do.
Sometimes one gets weary.
And you know them young girls, they get weird.
Another crisis looms for the Labour Party as Miss Great Britain announced she's standing in the Crewe by-election. Oh, come on, what city's going to elect a vacuous blonde bimbo who doesn't know the first thing of... Paul and Reginald, here's yours.
People are queuing up for...
Voting.
Oh, yes, of course, it's America.
Barack Obama eating.
Yep.
And next to a white dude.
Yeah. This is showing she can get out of the car as well as she can drink beer.
Uh-huh.
No snipers.
She's on her way to loan her campaign some more money.
Yeah. Do you think he's got a chance?
I think he's got a chance. I think he has a great chance to be the Democratic nominee, but I think your new president will be John McCain. I think Barack Obama wants the race to be about ideas, new directions, new beginnings, and I think Americans just like somebody they can recognize and somebody who looks a bit fun. You have to remember that Bill Clinton, survived a sex scandal. And the way he survived that sex scandal when he was running was he ate at McDonald's and he blew a saxophone in a black band on the Arsenio Hall show. And Americans thought, yeah, he's cool. I think,
Yeah.
Once we have our 2 final nominees, I think John McCain will get into office, and I think his first act as president will be to pull out of Iraq and invade Vietnam.
Yeah, well, they've had it easy for a while, haven't they, really?
See, he was held by the Vietnamese. I think he's one of these people that's been programmed to kill once he becomes a president.
Like a Manchurian candidate.
Manchurian candidate.
Yeah, boy.
Nobody's mentioned this.
Yeah, boy.
Mancunian candidate.
Yeah.
The Mancunian.
Hey, what up?
Come on. Are you going to miss Bush, Nick?
George Bush?
He had a bit of a run-in, didn't
At the end of a news conference with Gordon Brown, he looked at me and said, "You should cover your bald head."
Hang on, just stop me there, because we actually have this clip. I'd like to show you.
You better cover up your bald head. It's getting hot.
In North Carolina, Obama won the backing of 90% of African Americans. And is that because he's black? Or is it... He sounds Irish. You know. Barack Obama.
From Cork. His actual speech sounded Irish.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
I'm going to beat the next president of the United States.
Oh, they're a lovely family, little Keely Obama and Kathleen and Declan. They're lovely fellas. Do you think America is ready, though? Do you think America will ever elect a black president? Do you think that will happen?
Even if Barack Obama won, it'll be like Morgan Freeman in that movie Deep Impact. Black man finally get to be president, but the country ain't worth a shit no more.
This is the critical week when the Obama versus Clinton race for the Democrat nomination finally reached the point of extreme tedium. Hillary Clinton told Bill over dinner that Obama's campaign was being damaged by comments made by Pastor Jeremiah Wright, to which Bill replied, Pastor. And so now we come to round 2, the archive round. Here are some stories from the past that have been back in the news this week. Ian and Nick, here's yours.
Congratulations and jubilations. I want the world to know I'm happy as can be.
This is a big scandal that's just been revealed. Cliff
Absolutely
Richard should
right.
have won the Eurovision Song Contest. It's very shocking. Franco rigged the judges. He bribed a lot of the judges in the Eurovision Song Contest.
Yeah.
Because he wanted Spain to win to encourage tourism to Spain.
I mean, he's done a lot of bad things, hasn't he, Franco? But annoying Cliff Richard, that sort of evens it out, really, doesn't it?
Friend of Hitler, congratulations, didn't win.
Cliff Richard's a friend of Hitler. That's libelous. You'll go to prison for that. I'll come and see you. Wednesdays would be good for me.
In fact, we actually have got the winning Spanish entry here.
Oh, good.
See if you can guess what it's called. Cliff Richard made a second attempt to win the Eurovision Song Contest in oh, sorry. My phone going. I'm sorry, I do apologise.
It's Cliff Richard's lawyer.
It's Cliff Richard's lawyer. I do apologise. Yes, he made a second attempt to...
Aren't you going to answer it?
Sorry, no, I better not.
Well, go on.
All right, hello? Yes, I'm sorry, I'm doing the... Have I got news for you? Yes, I do apologise. It'll be on tomorrow night. Oh, tonight. I thought maybe I should just take the battery out of it. That's the only way of doing it.
It might not work at all, then.
There's a button. There's a button you can push.
Mine doesn't have a button.
Just go off.
It doesn't have a button on it.
Ain't got no button.
No.
Oh, man, all right, then.
This works on the cycles of the moon. Yes, sorry, I was saying he made a second attempt to win the Eurovision Song Contest in 1973 with a song called Power to All Our Friends.
Sounds like another Spanish Civil War song.
Yeah, it does. He didn't win that year.
Did he not?
No, he didn't win.
And who rigged it that year?
Well, I think there was no rigging. Let's just have a look at the song and you'll probably see why.
Power to the boys who played rock and roll, made my life so sweet. And to the girls I knew before, and those I've yet to meet. Power to all our friends. Music that never ends.
I love that dance, the pushing a reluctant horse up a ramp dance.
And losing your wristwatch in the process.
In a related bit of news this week, he said that he admitted he'd once done something under a false name. Any idea what that was?
Slept with a woman.
He admitted it was one of the Shadow's misses, wasn't it?
Jet Black, his missus.
What, of the Stranglers?
Oh, no, he was in the Stranglers. It was the Jet... It might have been... Was it Jet Engine? What was his name? Jet Storm? Jet something. It wasn't Jet who used to be in the Shadows. Jet Harris. Jet Harris, thank you. I didn't know you were in Jet. Sorry about that. I can remember you when you were a propeller. Little boy.
He submitted one of his songs under a pseudonym.
That's right.
And it topped the rhythm and blues chart.
No, he was down with the kids.
Was he? I didn't hear about that, no.
On the subject of TV scandals, what have Ant and Dec been up to this week?
They've been a programme which they were involved with, which they were executive producers for, and which they presented, was found guilty, which they knew nothing about, because they were the executive producers and they were presenting it, but they didn't know anything about it.
No, they didn't know anything about it.
I'll visit you in jail too.
Wednesdays are good for me. And basically, they've been fined, millions of pounds.
Yes, that's right. ITV's been fined for ripping off viewers in phone-in competitions on Saturday Night Takeaway. And actually, on the subject of the Comedy Awards, there's the British Comedy Award from 2005 organisers promised Robbie Williams he could present an award to Anton Deck to guarantee his attendance. But in fact, viewers had actually voted for the Catherine Tate show.
Yeah.
So they're going to have to give it back. Thieving Geordie bastards.
This programme was up for a British Comedy Award once in the comedy quiz section, and we lost out to Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
And the other year we were up for Best Comedy, it was won by General Franco.
Yeah. But he had a great puppet act, to be fair.
This is the news, I say news, that Cliff Richard was robbed, I say robbed, of first place in the 1968 Eurovision Song Contest after the voting was rigged by General Franco. The classified information was revealed when the archives were opened up thanks to the so-called 40-year rule, allowing historians for the first time to get fascinating insights into Cliff's 50th birthday celebrations. Paul and Reg, here's your archive cue.
So, yeah, Jimmy Savile, I think they've somewhere in the north, Leeds, they've started a new scheme up where teenagers are to be warned off from hanging around the public areas by the voice of Jimmy Savile. To hear this voice come out of the lamppost, now then, pick that up. Why he doesn't sound like himself, I don't know, but that's one of the mysteries of digital recording.
Where did you get this information?
Is it not true?
Let's try and find that out.
Halfway through, I had a feeling I'd made it up.
He's given an interview to Esquire magazine in which he said not only did he fix treats for children, he fixed things for grown-ups. One of them was he fixed the Middle East.
Yes.
No, this is serious. This is what he claimed. He was in Israel, he met some politicians, they said, "You're amazing, Jim, can't you sort out this problem for us?" And he did.
According to the Sunday Times, Jimmy Savile was in the Middle East recording an Israeli edition of Jim'll Fix It. Sorry, I can't get you the Golan Heights back, but I have fixed it for you, Moshe Dayan, to ride on a roller coaster with haircut 100.
So his voice doesn't come out of lampposts in Heavenly, but he has fixed the Middle East.
It may well do. He said, "I'm like a sewing machine needle that goes in here and goes in there, but I am also the eminence grise, the grey shadowy figure in the background." He's really blending in the background there, isn't he?
And he said he spent Christmas with Mrs Thatcher for something like 10 years.
No, that's a long Christmas, wasn't it? Did nobody think to go outside and check what the time was? She locked him in.
It was worse than that. He claims to have spent 11 consecutive Christmases with the Thatchers. He says, "Dennis, me and her, shoes off in front of the fire. There was no conversation, really. Anyone with that sort of entree might be punting for any number of things, but I hardly said a word. She tippled to that."
Did they not think of inviting the rest of their family, the Thatchers, or did they just wanted Jimmy Savile? Mark, who could never find the place.
Have you met Carol?
No. Do you think her mum would rather spend time with Jimmy Savile than her own daughter? Is that what the BBC political correspondent is saying?
My job merely to report speculation.
Exactly, yeah.
It doesn't actually say that he was invited.
No. No. Or indeed he'd left after the first one. That's proving my point. He hid in Chequers. It's a big place.
Yeah.
He was up the chimney. Every so often they lit a fire, and they just... the radio was on or something, but they didn't realise he was there the whole time.
He hid in the roof for 11 years.
He befriended a barn owl called Mr. Peters.
That's right. Him and Mr. Peters, the barn owls.
General Franco's outside. He wants an apology.
Sorry, we've just had a bit of information. It is true about the voice of Jimmy Savile in the lamppost in Headingley. So,
Is it?
Yes. Time now for the odd one out round. Ian and Nick, your 4R. Sir Igor Judge, Major Major, Ryan Nurse, and Vanessa Frisbee.
The man called Judge is a judge.
Yeah.
So he is, in fact, Judge.
Yes, Judge.
Major Major was a major. He's a fictional character in Catch-22. Yeah. This Ryan Nurse, he is a nurse.
He's a nurse, yes.
No, he's a man who pretended to be a nurse.
He's not actually a real nurse, no.
Oh, right.
Born
But,
ambulance.
and this is the important bit, she is a Frisbee. Well, is Major Major... Was he not a major? Was he a captain who'd been promoted upwards?
He was actually a major.
Oh, he
and
was
his
a major.
name was Major.
Not John Major?
Not John Major.
Or John
Promoted
Sargent,
upwards.
indeed. I always thought John Sargent was an unpromoted John Major. It's a joke about ranking.
Uptown top ranking.
Yeah.
Althea and Donna.
Yeah.
Play me little bass, let me wind up me waist. Uptown top ranking. Boo!
That's what black people sound like to us.
Play that thing about Jimmy Savile. That's how white folks sound now.
Frisbee's the odd one out because she's got nothing to do with the frisbee.
Yes. You're kind of right. They've all done the job their surname suggests, apart from Vanessa Frisbee, who claimed her boss, Naomi Campbell, frisbeed a plate at her.
Did it come to court?
It did.
Did it rebound on her?
I was so worried that I was going to do the worst joke of the night.
Well, there's still a few minutes left, so...
And, yes, Ryan Nurse, he was found guilty of posing as a nurse for 18 months and gaining work using forged medical qualifications. And here's a picture of him. Just to point out, that is actually a dummy. That's not actually a real person, just in case
I
you
think that's
were-
Michael Heseltine.
According to The Sun, the imposter routinely used a second-hand ambulance and some old equipment, while genuine paramedics looked on with envy. Paul and Reginald, your four are smell, chips, Lisa Goddard, and laziness.
I like the idea that there's a man who's just laziness.
Yeah. But a man with a clothes peg on his nose can't smell, so actually that's a very bad illustration of smell.
It's ironic, isn't it?
No, it's not ironic, it's wrong.
It's wrong.
It's ironically wrong. It's about like if you showed a plate of chips and you just showed a barn owl talking to Mr. Peters. That would be confusing.
Wasn't the barn owl called Mr. Peters?
Well, there's a lot of barn owls in the world. They haven't all got the same name, you know. That would be confusing. I like the idea of a barn owl called Mr. Peters. It's as simple as that. Lisa Goddard, she's an actress. She was in sitcoms. She used to do that charade game on the telly, I think, probably. Give us a check.
Yes.
She was... Let me see. I've got no idea.
Okay,
Yeah.
When I smell chips,
Yeah.
I want to eat chips.
Yeah.
And then after I eat chips, I have sex with Lisa Goddard. And then I feel quite lazy.
Yeah.
Reg, you're saying this out loud.
You can lose your sense of smell, you can lose a portion of chips, you can lose laziness, but you can't lose Lisa Goddard. Is Lisa Goddard the odd one out, though?
No.
No. OK, well...
Are they all side effects of something?
What, chips?
Boom.
Oh, yeah, chips are a side effect of cutting potatoes.
I'll give you a clue. Belgium.
Belgium.
Oh, yeah!
OK, right, OK. They're very lazy in Belgium. They eat a lot of chips, they've got no sense of smell, and they don't know who Lisa Goddard is, so she's the odd one out. No, she's not the odd one out. We established that earlier. The sense of smell is the odd one out, because it's the only one that's not there.
Okay.
OK, we've got two more to guess. You go for the bottom one, I go for the top one. Chips are the odd one out.
But why?
Because they're the only ones made out of potato. Oh, no, Lisa Goddard.
Lisa Goddard!
Okay, chips are the only ones that are not made out of people.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Lisa Goddard's made out of people.
Smell man made out of people.
Lisa Goddard's made out of 4 people.
4 people.
Yeah.
Product of more than one country.
Anita Harris, Tyrone Power,
Mr. Peters.
and Peggy Lee. Those are the 4 people she's made of, right? Chips, as Reg says, are not made of people. They're the odd one out because they're not human.
They are the... That's not quite the reason I was looking for.
Chips are human?
Yes!
Chips are human, they're the odd one out.
Yes!
Nobody else is human, just the chips.
That's not it! What happened in Belgium recently?
Oh, they stopped calling them French fries.
Nope.
Oh.
Something happened in Belgium,
The
a
big
momentous
stink.
event. There was a big opening
A big
of a place.
factory.
No.
A show, a
below.
town.
At something where you might see a chip.
A chip shop.
No. Bigger than a chip shop.
A potato field, a potato
No.
factory.
No, a building.
A building, a
Where
huge
chips are
chip building.
celebrated.
Chips is a big potato building.
No! Chips are celebrated celebrated.
King Edward, the building!
In all their forms.
The Chip Museum!
Potato
Yes!
Museum.
The Chip Museum!
That's right, that's right.
Is that
now
it?
give us our damn points.
Yeah, they've all had exhibitions apart from Chips, who've had an entire museum devoted to them. The first and only museum dedicated to the chip, the Friet Museum, opened in Bruges this week. What questions do visitors most frequently ask?
Why did you do this? Did you have a crinkle cut wing?
No, apparently the questions most frequently asked are, where does the potato come from? Was the fry invented in Belgium? What is the secret of making good fries? The answer to all three, I don't care. It says, on the original Belgian Fries website, what advice is given to chip fans visiting Belgium?
Come and see the Chip Museum.
Pretty much.
Yes.
It says, I'm visiting Belgium. Where should I go to eat the perfect fries? Come to my place. Who are you? Are you in the fries business? No.
That might be an exchange between secret agents. You know, the seagull flies high over Krakow tonight. One of those conversations.
Yes. Are you in the chip business?
Yes.
No. Chips go under lots of different names around the world. In Malaysia, they're known as kentang goreng. In Finland as renskalaiset perunat. And in Scotland as one of your favourite portions. Smells. The Reg Vardy Gallery in Sunderland currently has an exhibition of smells. An exhibition dedicated to laziness has recently opened in Colombia. If you're interested in visiting, the exhibition of laziness is open from 2 o'clock to 15:15. And the Collector's World Museum in Downham Market, Norfolk, has a room devoted to Lisa Goddard. According to her agent, Lisa Goddard starred in Skippy the Bush Kangaroo.
Oh, she did, yeah.
I don't know, their makeup was good then. Time now for the Missing Words round, which this week features as its guest publication, Trees Are News. Well, they are eventually. And we start with, I'm off to what? See you in a few days.
Think what to do now I'm London mayor?
I'm off to plant a tree.
No.
I'm off to the end of the week, see you in a few days. That's a bit boring, isn't it? I'm off to the end of the week, see... That wouldn't be a headline, would it? I'm off to the end of the week, see you in a few days. That wouldn't be a headline, would it?
Well, that's just a note on a shop,
yeah,
isn't
exactly.
it? Yeah.
It's a post-it, you know.
I'm off to do a line of coke.
Oh, really? Can we not finish this programme first? Can we not do the programme first?
Oh, sorry. Sorry, the post office. Rural customers are now having to waste several days getting to and from their nearest post office. A spokesman for Age Concern said, "We are very concerned." Next. As the twig is bent, so the tree's inclined, is a country saying that what?
That's ignored at your peril if you're walking under a tree.
I have to tell you, this is actually from Trees Are News.
Oh, I thought it was from the Mail.
Might be from Twig Weekly.
They've branched out, apparently.
I think you're safe, Reg.
If it's an apple tree and an apple fell off, it would not be far away from that tree. So if the tree is bent that way and it's inclined to be that way, then it just is what it is.
I don't think they'll fit into that bit there. That's the trouble.
The answer is certainly applies to the black poplar. And,
was that racist?
Is that racist?
It's racist, isn't it?
You know, for the first time, I genuinely don't know.
Next. Tourists to be greeted by colossal what?
Tree.
Brian Blessed at Dover.
Welcome! Come on!
Did you hear about his wife?
Horse.
Is the correct answer, yes, it is.
They're looking for an equivalent of the Angel of the North.
Oh, yes,
So the North
three
get an
times,
angel
yeah.
and we get a large horse.
Yeah, it's true. Eurostar passengers arriving in Kent may be met by the sight of a giant statue of a horse.
They're just going to think they had too much to drink on the Eurostar.
Does anyone want to see a tiny hedgehog?
Yes.
OK, come on then. Aww.
How did he get hold of the money?
Next, Barnsley baker asked to what with baguettes?
Asked to bake bread.
Asked to bake bread with baguettes.
It's actually supply French. Barnsley baker John Foster has won a contract to supply baguettes to the French railway. Let's see how the Daily Star covered the story. Next, it was evident from first meeting Archie Miles that his talk on trees in Cornwall was going to be what?
A drunken, aggressive fiasco. He started off his speech with, "There are no trees in Cornwall." Wooden.
No. Something like, you know, when you put a...
Effervescent.
Yes! Effervescent!
Oh.
Brilliant.
I read it every week.
You shouldn't do it, only comes out once a month.
And finally, I sold myself short for fame and fortune admits what?
Archie Miles.
The Queen.
The Queen, she's only 5'1". Her and Ronnie Corbett, the same person.
Hey,
Yeah.
actually, you never see them together, do you?
No, you look at those. Some of those two Ronnies opening sequences, and it's the Queen. And the Metropolitan Police have just announced an elephant has done a ton on the M1.
It's good night from one.
Is that not right?
It's not the Queen, no. It's
Sooty.
No.
What?
There's an easy explanation for this.
Yes,
Just so there's no confusion. Ian's upper class.
All right.
I meant the puppet character who was very popular with his friend Sweep.
the answer is Andrea Bocelli. He told the Radio Times, "Every TV appearance based on commercial foundations robs me of time I could have dedicated to more artistically satisfying work." Yeah. Tell me about it. So, let's have a look at the final scores. Extraordinary. Ian and Nick have 11, and Paul and Reg have 5.
5?
Yes.
It's like the Zimbabwean election.
It is, yeah.
He just put the score down before we started the programme.
But under the new Mugabe, it's actually a dead heat. So, yeah.
Mugabe, did you know his name backwards is E by gum? Did you know that? I didn't know that. Not everybody knows that. They should know it. Mention it next time you're on the news.
Before we go, there's just time for the caption competition.
Wembley officials deny FA Cup final is waterlogged. Jimmy Floyd stickleback. I mean, that's an open goal. He's not going to miss that, is he? Although he might be suspicious of the net.
Actually, yes. And I leave you with the news that in his final speech from his office, Ken Livingstone denies he was out of touch during his time as mayor. After no one turns up to paint a bowl of fruit, there's a better attendance for Sister Mary's second art class. And in Gloucester, there's evidence of more essential work done by the Ministry of the Bleeding Obvious. Good night.
Chris Moyles, shy. Now, there's a word I would never have used to describe him. BBC Two continues the comedy Map of Britain next, and later an apprentice challenge in Marrakesh that's not exactly kosher.
I've got to say something. I apologise in advance.
OK.
But this is very strange and odd. But,
Is it illegal, note?
No, it's. I don't know what it is. It's one of the weirdest things, one of the weirdest requests I've ever been asked in television.
All right.
Not all barn owls are called Mr. Peters.